All right, folks, welcome to the video. Today we're going to break down just a couple of plays, maybe 3 or 4 plays from Pavel Mintyukov in the last Rooke Faceoff game that was on Monday against the Kings. Just looking for some tendencies here, looking for how Pavel is going to be responding to different situations, how he can even dictate the play. Just looking for it all because, as you know, in these games, we don't want to put too much stock into it. Just look at the tendencies. And so let's look at this first shift here. Ducks on the power play. Pavel goes back behind his net. He's leading that breakout. Just a quick, easy pass up to Dwight King. Nothing too crazy there, just to kind of get the chains moving. And then we've got a failed zone entry here by Dwight King again. So Pavel just sends it back to the left wing. Just a nice, simple play, but nothing really comes of it. And at this point, this is a really hard situation for any power play because now it's static. Nobody's really in motion anymore. And so how do we reset that? How do we create space so that we can actually enter the offensive zone? And so Pavel does something really interesting here. He gets the puck back. And as you can see, again, everyone here is static. So what do we do? How do we beat that? We've got to create space somehow. So Pavel surveys the ice. And one thing you're going to notice is that he angled his body in this direction. He's looking at this entire corridor here, which gets the penalty killers to think, oh, he's going that way. You can see that they're angling their bodies. Instead, what Pavel does is he then goes back the other way, back to that left side where the puck originally came from, and boom, there's a zone entry. The Ducks are in. They still end up not being able to actually get the play set up, but you can see just the manipulation here from Pavel Mintyukov. That's what's really important as a defenseman leading the breakout, whether it is on the power play or at even strength, is how can we change the angles? How can we actually manipulate what the other team, what the penalty killers are doing? And so just a really great job here by Pavel to look off essentially all the penalty killers. You can see right there, boom, gets the puck. That extra little half second, that extra little stick handle where he's got the penalty killers thinking, oh, this is an option. What it actually ends up doing is creating that other angle. So great job here by Pavel on the first shift. And we'll just look at it one more time. Boom, zone entry right there. I mean, you'd like to see, I don't even know which player that is because of the grainy video, but you'd like to see him make a better decision there. But overall, great work by Mintyukov on that play. Next play here from Pavel Mintyukov. This one is going to be, I think, Pavel Mintyukov at his best. This is what Pavel Mintyukov is. This is what he can potentially become in the NHL, is just a guy who can do everything from the back end. So we're going to get a good glimpse of that here. Collects the puck at his own goal line, and so you can actually, just so that everyone knows, so we're all on the same page here with this kind of less than ideal video quality. But he's right back here. He collects the puck, gathers it, trying to lead the breakout. As you can tell, the Ducks are kind of in the midst of a change, so there's not really a whole lot of options there for him. So he's like, you know what? I'm Pavel Mintyukov. I'm just going to do it myself. Leads the charge all the way up through the neutral zone again. You can see, and it's a little bit like we talked about with the power play shift, very static. There's just not a lot of flow, not a lot of places to go. And so again, how do you break that as a defenseman? Well, here Pavel's answer is, I'm just going to do it all by myself. He carries it up through the neutral zone, dumps it in, and this is, I think, the part that kind of gets me to just raise an eyebrow in a good way, is that he dumps it in, and he actually follows his dump in. He puts a little pressure on the Kings. You can see him all the way back there behind the Kings net, still there. Those pixels are indeed him. And just that thought of, I'm going to dump it in, I'm going to carry it all the way up the ice, dump it in, and then add the pressure. You just don't see a lot of defensemen do that at the NHL level. The Ducks are then able to establish possession, and because he stays low in the offensive zone, remember, he started here, he just kind of hangs out, and he's actually able to then receive a dangerous pass, all because of really the entry that he made happen on his own. So we're going to look at this play in full again. But once the play establishes itself, you can see him that he's still just kind of hanging out down there. And yes, that does put a little pressure on the forwards to cover back, but it just confuses the other team. It confuses the Kings here. They're like, what do we do with this defenseman who's basically playing like a forward? And He gets a really nice cross-ice pass, looks for it again, looks for an option, I should say, feeds the middle of the ice, and I'm not sure who it was shooting there. Oh, Colson Petrie. And just, you put all of that together, right? I think that it's really important to look at this play in its entirety. So we're going to watch it here one more time from the beginning, if I can get us back there. Bear with me here, folks. Still figuring out the tech aspect of this, but leads the breakout, no options, dumps it in, chases his own dump in, puts on a little pressure, and that forces the Kings goalie to clear up the wall. You can see here that the Ducks are then pressuring the puck. I think that's Colson Petrie. The Ducks are then pressuring the puck, and Pavel just kind of hangs out. You can see him just lurking back here. Like, he still hasn't gone back to his original position as a defenseman after the dump in. After that, he's just watching the play, still involved. I mean, he's in the slot. He's a defenseman, folks. Like, this is not normal defenseman stuff. You see a defenseman dump it in, they're usually not gonna chase it after it themselves, and if they are, they're definitely gonna try to hustle back. Instead, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be a forward here, essentially. And you can see back at the blue line, old reliable Leo Carlsson is covering for him, so he knows he's good. He recognizes that. You can see his eyes. You can see that he's looking back there at the point. Okay, Leo Carlsson's covering me. I don't have to get back right away. So that shows that he's being responsible. He's not just winging it out there. He can recognize that his position is covered. Puck gets back to the point, and Leo Carlsson just gets dumped here at the point. Didn't even notice that. But anyway, really nice pass here that we can see that's just about to happen. Pavel Mintyukov hang out in the slot. Puck comes across, and now he can see, oh, I don't really have a shooting angle. I'm kind of static here. Sees his teammate Colson Petrie coming through the slot. Gonna hit him perfectly in stride. Boom. Doesn't turn into a goal, but you just see on that play just how Pavel Mintyukov influences almost everything about this play. He's the one who got the puck into the zone. He's the one who then created the scoring chance, and you can see here the puck goes the other way. Maybe you'd like to see him do a little bit of a better job preventing that shot, not getting down on a knee so early, defending the rush, but just a tremendous example of how Pavel Mintyukov really can do it all on the ice. And I think that if he can continue to learn how to balance that aggression at the NHL level, he's going to be able to do this. Because again, like we talked about, he's not just winging it out there. He's actually surveying the ice. He checked to see if Leo Carlsson was covering for him before staying down in the offensive zone and eventually creating that perfect opportunity in the slot. So very encouraging stuff here on this shift. All right, final shift here from Pavel Mintyukov. Again, this is one of those where, we talked about it in the previous clip, showing that aggression. And this is one where maybe you want to be a little more careful with how aggressive you're going to be. So what am I talking about? Let's see. He's, as you can see right here, he's hanging out at the point. Let me just make sure everyone can see that. It's right here. I suck at drawing. That's okay. So he's hanging out at the point, number 34 in white. Puck comes back to him. And first off, just kind of a very small thing. This is like the most tiniest of details, but I just love the fact that he sees that open ice. He sees that space, and he immediately cuts into it. A lot of defensemen, they get the puck and they just stand still, or they swing it to the other D, or they just throw it on net. Pavel Mintyukov is like, nope, I see that opening. I'm going to attack it. Olin Zellweger is also great at this, but he sees that open ice, takes it, sees what kind of options it can create for him, and he sees his check. So what do I mean by that? His man come up to him. So he's thinking, okay, maybe there's an opportunity here to get around him. So what he's going to do is he's going to swing it over to his D partner, and instead of just standing still like we see a lot of defensemen do, Pavel Mintyukov actually rushes towards the net. He pinches in. I mean, he's playing, he's just playing Pavel Mintyukov hockey. He is not playing by what I would call the regular rules of defensemen. So he passes it off and immediately cuts to the net, and he's actually pretty open. I mean, it's going to be really hard for that pass to come all the way across, but maybe there'll be a rebound. There doesn't end up being one. but it's just that aggression. And now you want to be careful, right? Because that happens so quickly. You want to be able to make sure that your teammates, your line mates, the players that are out there with you are going to be able to know, okay, this is something he might do. And we don't really see him check for that possibility here, like we talked about in the previous clip. Instead, he just goes for it. And it's such a fast game. Can you really expect a player to check for that in such a short amount of time? I don't know. Maybe that's being too nitpicky. Maybe that's not being completely accurate, but just something to think about. Again, you see here, dumps it off, and because he recognizes that the Kings player here, I don't know who he is, doesn't matter, reaches, and he's in a bad position, Pavel immediately thinks, okay, let's get to the net. And the hilarious thing is that 73 here just completely forgets about him. Now, maybe it's because of their coverage. Maybe they're playing more of a zone coverage. They're not playing man-to-man. I guess that Pavel is covered by the extra defenseman there, but just that level of aggression that we see from Pavel, it's just not common for defensemen. And I don't think that he doesn't do it in a rash way. It is calculated. Here, I think that this is definitely more on the aggressive side. Thankfully, I don't know what number here. Again, this video, it's just hard to tell. Covers back for him, so it's not as if it's uncovered. Maybe at that point, it's the last game of the tournament. His teammates know, okay, this guy's pretty aggressive. But just overall, if we look back at the clips here, a lot to like. Aggressive, calculated, and not just aggressive in that he's going for it. He's making things happen, not at the cost of his own team's success. If you think back to that first clip, looking at, he's creating passing lanes, like it's just a measured approach, even though it is very aggressive. So with all that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is definitely a rough draft. Hoping to do more of these, hoping to get better at this, the tech side of it. Let me know what you thought, and we'll talk to you at the next video. Have a good one.